And I'm wondering for those of us who are interested in breaking the cycle of trauma, because I know that both me and my wife, we had our own early life experiences, which we've done a lot of work around integrating and healing. What are the things that we can do to change that within ourselves and then also change that within the wider society? In other words, what can
It,
we do to, yeah, go ahead.
when you say change that within ourselves, you're talking about as prospective parents, or I'm not sure.
So what I mean by that is, what are the things that we can do to ensure that we don't pass those on to our kids, that we don't act from them in our relationships? Because you talked about earlier how if you've experienced trauma, it sometimes causes people who've experienced it to be less aware of their own emotions and the emotions of others. And so for those of us who want to be more aware of our own emotions and the emotions of others, but maybe have had traumatic experiences, what are the things we can do to increase our awareness and to also ensure that that increased awareness is the place we're operating from when we raise our own children?
Okay, well, what comes to my mind is a couple of paths here. One is to explore your own um, emotional uh, experience and history, uh, probably in a therapeutic environment. And my recommendation would be for these kinds of emotions, body-oriented, or what sometimes called body psychotherapy, uh, is the most effective, because again, it's the body, this repressed feelings in the body that are key here. A lot of therapy today is cognitive. It's in the head. It's intellectual. That can be of some value, and it doesn't easily get to early repressed feelings and experience that are beyond consciousness. You can't have cognitive therapy on what you're not aware of or conscious of. So I'm saying try doing some breath work is a term that's refers to some types of body-oriented therapy. So there's that path for personal growth. Okay. The other thing is, if you're a prospective parent, to obviously the internet is a tremendous resource of information, a wide range of information, as we well know. But obviously you can make the choice of what to search for. So you can search for what's natural in terms of parenting. You can search for infant needs. Obviously, you go to my website where I have a blog. If you're not aware, at ronaldgoldmanphd.com. I got a blog that goes into some explanation of some of these issues we're talking about. So it's a combination of get to know yourself on a deeper level, possibly with therapeutic support, and then educate yourself to increase your awareness of making more informed choices.
I actually do Wim Hof breathing before the podcasting. It's one of the things that I do, is to just sort of get in my body and get focused. I hadn't thought of using that in a specifically therapeutic way. So I'm wondering, is there other types of breath work I would look for if I was interested in that? Or is there a specific way of using it? Because I love breath work. I think it just on a physiological level feels really good. So I'm curious how
Well,
you use it in that context.
again, it's a question of how long you stick with it, what kind of facilitation you get, and trust your body. So let your body take you to the experience it needs, it needs or is ready for in terms of releasing and reliving, as the case may be. So I mean, I went through this type of therapy many years ago over a long period of time, and it actually I had an experience during one of these sessions where I experienced an early trauma, relived an early trauma as an infant. And at the end of the session, I walked out and I stopped and I said to myself, they're still doing this. And at that point, I had a tremendous compassion for infants in the present and in the future, And I vowed to myself, I have to do something about this. And for much of my adult life, I have been doing the best I can to do something about this. So again, it's a matter of persistence and taking the deeper path to trust your body. And it's not going to happen in one day or 1 week, but trust it. I believe it's very effective.
You know, your story, which I really appreciate, it's similar to the experience that I had that brought me to the work I'm doing now. One of the things that I think it points to is that when you do this work, when you integrate in some way or heal, that there's a resilience that comes from that. In other words, once you're aware of the feeling, then there's a greater compassion for others. And it sounds like for you, that compassion drives the work you do now. Of I
Yeah,
felt this thing, I experienced this, and I don't want anyone to experience it again.
yeah,
Um, and I really appreciate that too, because a lot of people, I think, when they hear about healing work, they think it's going to be feeling bad all the time, and there are, difficult feelings you have to be with, but it actually is really liberating afterwards. So I'm curious if when you've worked with people, or have you worked with people around integrating early life trauma? And if so, what sort of changes or things do you see when people actually do the work, when they actually explore those feelings or heal or integrate them in some way? What comes out on the other end of that?
well, let me be clear. I'm not a clinician.
Sure.
My priority right now is public awareness and education. So I'm a public speaker, I'm a writer, and I'm working on another book in connection with early traumas. So I want to create as much awareness as possible, among as many people as possible. And I also want to allude to something you said about feeling bad. I think you said something like that. Our usual perspective on bad feelings is avoid them.
Right.
Okay? That's not going to get us down a healing path. That's a roadblock. It's an emotional roadblock to getting beyond that point. Okay. In body psychotherapy, you may enter it with that kind of perspective, but as you do it, you recognize that expressing and releasing these stored, repressed, bad feelings actually feels good. Get it out. Move past it. Again, get beyond the negative effect it's having by staying stored and repressed in your body. It can feel good to do that, and it may not happen in one session, but whatever number of sessions it takes, your body and your awareness recognizes you're making progress toward moving beyond these bad feelings by releasing them. And at some point, you will complete the release of certain feelings and negative experiences. And it feels good to move on. It just does.
It sounds too like the things that we would do to prevent early life trauma might also feel good. So if the trauma is caused by separation, that the opposite of that would be connection. So
Sure.
what are the things, again, because I'm having a child soon, what are the things that both me and my wife can do to support our child, to create more connection? We're already planning on a home birth and co-sleeping and things like that. But is there more that we could do? Are there
Oh,
things that
oh
sure.
yeah. Well, a big thing is virtual continual physical contact. I mean, again, this is what other primates do. It's what we continue to do in hunter-gatherer cultures, those that exist, tribal cultures. So this can be a mother predominantly wearing her baby. And so when you're wearing your baby, you can walk around the house, you can go outside. I mean, you can do your tasks And there are different, I mean, and there's websites about this. You can buy a sling, wear the baby on the front, wear the baby on the back. You know, obviously you can get support for that with those that sell these kinds of accessories. So there's that part. The other thing is co-sleeping. Again, this is what's natural, not what's cultural. It's what the baby needs. An infant does not want to be alone anytime, really. The infant needs continuous contact, emotional contact, physical contact. So in many other cultures around the world, co-sleeping is the norm. And so again, that's something that would be very strange to a lot of Americans, because it's not what they experienced as children. It's not what they experienced if they were parents. And again, we need to, are you open to new information?
You know I am by now.
Well, of course, I'm speaking to our audience too.
Mhm.
So that's a key question.
I think the kind of people who would listen to this are probably pretty open. But I want to go back to the question of you were talking earlier about how, as a society, these needs aren't usually met, and many of the social problems that we experience might be related to early life, to basically the way that we systemically treat children. I was hoping you could talk more about that